gentlemen, a very good evening to each one of you. All of us are today in the midst of a world with digital wonders, where every problem has a solution, every shortage is being converted into abundance. Digital entrepreneurs the world over are responsible for phenomenal exponential rates of growth in productivity and exponential rates of growth in the economy. That is at the macro level, at the global level. Look at where we are today in the country. 50% of the population still dependent on agriculture. Despite that, the sector contributing only 12% of the GDP. Look at the manufacturing sector. The sector employs 12% of the total labor force in the organized sector, and this 12% has remained constant for the past 25 years. 90% of the people in India are employed in the informal sector, just about 10% in the formal sector, the organized sector. So that is the scenario coming from the global level to what we are in the country today. Now, the issue before each one of us, because we read about make in India, we talk about make in India, we hear about make in India, how do we add fire to Indian economy? A person even with an iota of entrepreneurial instinct, there could not have been a better time to encash on the kinds of opportunities available in the country today. India is still a country with supply side deficiencies. So, if you ask what are the kinds of opportunities, sky is the limit. Just to quote a couple of examples on the kinds of opportunities available, when I say the sky is the limit, literally the sky is the limit. If you look at the kinds of things which are happening in the country today, we have close to about 20,000 startups working in different domains. IoT is one domain where we have maximum number of startups, especially in cities like Bangaluru, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Gurgaon areas. In fact, we ourselves are promoting startups in a very big way. And the kind of startups which are coming to us, not on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, it is seen to be believed on the kinds of things which are happening. IoT, which Mr. Shyam very well mentioned, is permitting the technology to have its reach in everyday life. Actually, it is not IoT, it is actually IoE, it is Internet of everything. It is Internet of us, IOU, because it is going to govern, see, the next 5 years, next 10 years, next 20 years, is we are going to talk about IoT in a very big way. In fact, we in IESA have a separate cell, a separate core interest group, what you call as TIG, in trying to promote IoT in a very big way. Just to quote a simple example, I am sure many of you are from Bangalore, and what you see in the newspapers every day is what are we going to do about the kind of potholes. We saw a very young entrepreneur's wife dying in a road accident because of a small pothole which was there very close to where we are today, where we are now. A very young entrepreneur, he is just about 23 years old, has come out with a pothole mapper. It is an IoT device. What it does? Very simple. You put it in your vehicle, whether it is a two-wheeler vehicle or a four-wheeler vehicle, it takes the base level of the road, any upward or a downward variation in the level, it records it. So, say from point A to point B, you see the kinds of controversies, if you see the newspapers every day, officially somebody coming out and saying, I have filled up all the potholes. On the next day, you have pictures in the newspaper which says, so many potholes are still existing despite claims to the contrary. So, to arrive at the kinds of potholes that we have, you have a pothole mapper. You can map 716 kilometers of roads within no time if you have a pothole mapper. Take another example. I am quoting the actual statistics. These statistics pertain to the last 6 months of last year, that is 2014, for which information is available. And what is true of Bangalore is true of every metropolitan city in the country. From 1st of July to 31st of December, for which we have the information available, and this information pertains to Bangalore. There were 786 complaints for seeking help of an ambulance in critical cases. I am talking of only critical cases where it is a question of life and death. If I can transport the patient or the person who was met with an accident to the hospital, to the nearest hospital, what is so called the golden hour. If I can transport the patient to the nearest hospital within 1 hour, the chances of survival improve by 90%. So, Bangalore received 786 critical complaints in the last 6 months of the last year. Out of 786 complaints received, 720 patients or victims, accident victims, were brought dead. So, you can imagine what is the kind of social responsibility that we have to ensure that the patient or the victim of an accident reaches the hospital within the golden hour. We have technology solutions available wherein an ambulance can have a free way, and this is not rocket science. IoT does not use new technology, it uses an existing technology, it uses the existing network, it uses the actuators and sensors which you are already aware of. It only makes use of the data in such a way that we achieve a particular end objective. And in every other developed country, when an ambulance approaches a traffic junction, the signal automatically becomes green, because it alerts the next signal junction when it is 500 meters away from or 400 meters away from that particular traffic junction. It is a very, very simple device to be deployed in an ambulance, and an ambulance talks to the next traffic junction, which actuates in such a way that it automatically, whenever an ambulance moves, it does not encounter a red signal. Of course, that is not 100% of the solution. An ambulance still has to navigate through the congested traffic, but still we are ensuring that the traffic signal does not become an obstacle and impediment for the patient to be transported to the nearest hospital. Okay, these things are available. They are available off the shelf. Now, take another example. We have power cuts in all major cities, including Bangalore. Now, what we do, if your demand is 100 and available supply is 50, you have a periodic power cut. You have phased power cut in different areas just to ensure that your demand and supply match, which is the most inefficient, suboptimal way of managing power. If you were the managing director of an electric supply company, there are much better technical solutions available, wherein you can ensure that there is absolutely no tripping or no outage of basic lighting. What happens basically, I will just give you this one example and then go over to my final analysis. What happens is that there are some gadgets which are power guzzlers in every home. Okay? We have a washing machine, we have a microwave oven, we have a geyser, which are power intensive. Now, I go home at about 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the evening from my office, and then I have to wash my clothes, I have to cook my food, I use my microwave, I use my washing machine to wash my clothes, and similarly have a bath because I want to freshen up, and all these are power guzzlers. Imagine if you as a managing director of a power supply company were in a position to switch off every microwave, every washing machine and every geyser in Bangalore city, in Kolkata, in Delhi or whatever, using your cell phone. This is possible because it is happening in other countries. Again, this is all technology which has been there for the past 5 years, 8 years. Lots of pilots have taken place elsewhere. Using a mobile phone, you can ensure that no household uses these power intensive gadgets. Now, what is the result? The result is everyone has basic lighting, which is not power intensive. You have street lights so that women are safe. You have street lights so that your children are safe, and you have basic lighting at home. That is a much better scenario than having a phased power cut throughout the city. Now, why I am giving you these examples is that this is the time when entrepreneurship has to flourish. And how do we ensure that we add that extra fire among entrepreneurs? The Make in India is something that we need to encash on, we need to capitalize on. And the kinds of opportunities, as I said, is such that nobody need think beyond one's own house to see what are the areas that I need to focus on. You look at schools, you look at colleges, you look at educational institutions. Today, If you want to admit your brother, your sister, your daughter, your son to the best of universities in the world, I don't think you have to take a physical admission. Am I right? If you want your child to be admitted to Stanford, Berkeley, UCLA or Harvard University, I don't think you need to physically go there and get admitted. Have you heard of something called MOOC? MOOC? It's available, massive open online courses. You can have access to the best of the university, the best of the teaching material, the best of the course content, the best of case studies sitting at the remotest village in the world without physically being there. You can have a Harvard degree in MBA, you can have a Stanford degree on life sciences sitting in your village. You don't have to physically go there. That's what technology has provided us, and that's what we need to do to give a boost to the kind of entrepreneurship that you and I are responsible to. In addition to the fact that technology has enabled us to have access to the best of breed solutions in every walk of life, technology has also provided many other ways in which we can try to sort out the problems. 35% of food grains in India are wasted because of pests, on the one hand. On the other hand, you have 25% of the population who are living below the poverty line. And the best way of ensuring development is not through subsidies, it is for giving jobs. We need to be job creators. In India, we don't want job seekers. This is the time when we need more and more entrepreneurs to come into the fold and ensure that we become job creators. And we have done many things, we need to do many more things to ensure that this happens in a big way. See, if you look at 1990s and late 1980s, on an average, about 25 to 28% of Indian engineers became entrepreneurs, late 80s and early 90s. Until that time, imagine out of every 100 engineers coming out of university colleges and graduates, 25 to 28 of them became entrepreneurs. Today, the figure has come down to 8%. And you know the reason? Why is it that entrepreneurship has come down? And the one and only reason why entrepreneurship has come down in the country is campus placement. You and I will say that this is a very important thing, because my son, my daughter, my granddaughter, my grandson, as soon as he or she comes out of IIT or NIT or the best of colleges, is absorbed by a campus recruitment cell, and every college has an institutional mechanism to ensure that this happens. We have a campus cell, campus placement cell in every college headed by a professor. Now, this has literally killed entrepreneurship. Now, I have been talking on this issue for quite some time now. Just about a fortnight ago, I was in Tumkur addressing professors, students and the Vice Chancellor. I told them, I said, why don't you scrap this campus placement cell? Let the students swim on their own and find their level. That would be a much better way of ensuring that we churn out as many entrepreneurs as possible who can create jobs for the country, because job creation is very important. You know the number of people who enter job labor force every month? I am talking of every month. It's close to about 1 million. That means we need to create about 1.2 crore jobs every year. And if that is the kind of jobs we need to create, we need entrepreneurs. We don't want job seekers. And as I said, this is the apt time for us to make use of the kind of opportunities available, because this is the only way in which we can ensure that the youth coming out of colleges and universities and other teaching institutions, if they become entrepreneurs, we are in a position to create jobs for the rest of us. Otherwise, the future will not excuse us. Thanks very much.